We will be continuing from where we had actually left yesterday. The topic which we were doing was features of developing economy. In which we had completed certain topics. That topic which we had covered yesterday was a less per capita income, population growth. Good morning, Rafat, Jayesh, Yash. So, the third topic is what we are going to start with, and talks about the dependence on agriculture. In ninth, we have already discussed about it, that India is an agrarian country. The word agrarian is taken from the word agriculture, and it means that majority of the population, they are involved in agriculture activity. This much is so much so that approximately 60 to 65% of human population living in India, they are engaged in agriculture activities. Now, it doesn't really mean that agriculture activity means they are doing agriculture. Related works are also included into it. So, the main occupation of the people of India, it happens to be, or in fact every developing country, it happens to be that they are in agriculture sector. And agriculture sector in economy or economics, basically, we learn about to be a primary sector. 60% plus of the population of all the developing countries, they are engaged in agriculture for their employment sake. Be the farmer, be the trader, be the worker, manufacturer, whatever it is. And when we talk about the amount of money generated, we find that the agriculture plays a role in national income where the contribution is about 26%. Important point to remember that national income happens to be 26. Now, two contrary things. More than 60% of the people are engaged in agriculture activities, but the output received is mere 25%, 26%. When we talk about 60% plus, what we are talking about actually is 2/3 of the population, they are in agriculture. But the revenue or the amount of money generated is 1/4. So two contradictions we are talking about. इतने सारे लोग काम कर रहे हैं, लेकिन जो अमाउंट जनरेट हो रही है वो टोटल नेशनल इनकम की केवल 25-26% निकल कर आ रही है, जिसकी वजह से मॉर्निंग रुद्र वृष्टि, जिसकी वजह से व्हाट वी सी इज दैट the people who are engaged, they are far higher, but the output is quite less. Moving to the fourth point, which is out here, is unequal distribution of money. And when I talk about unequal distribution of money, I'm talking about that the money is not equally distributed among all the citizens of the developing economy or the country. Yesterday we had talked about some example. The example was I had A, B, C, D and E. These were the people of the country, but someone having 500 rupees, some was giving 1000 rupees, someone having 500, another 500, and someone was having 48,000. So what exactly do we see? That the amount of money is not equally distributed per head. And this is again an important factor which we take into consideration for every developing economy, including India. unequal distribution of income and factors of production is seen in developing economies or the countries. This inequality is seen in cities as well as villages. So it is not just a mere concentration of this property at one place. Across the country, you are going to find the same thing happening, that certain people will be having some very high volume of money and the others are left deprived. उनके पास कुछ नहीं है. 20%. Now this is a figure which is mentioned in your textbook, so it is going to carry some added weightage. 20% rich people of the country share 40% of the national income. Now what does it mean? It means in case I take the people who are living in the developing country to be 100. Why I'm taking 100? So it becomes easy to understand. Numbers is always in millions and billions, but I've taken as a figure as 100. Out of this 100 people, I have got a very small proportion, which is 20 people, because 20% out of 100 is going to be 20 people. These 20 people have got the control of the national income to be equivalent to 40%. Which means that out of every 100 rupees which is generated within the country, the value which is coming as 100, we are taking it as a unit, 40 rupees is among these 20 people. And the rest 60 rupees is under the control of rest 80 people. Difference. What the difference is? Out of the total 100 people, 20 people, that is the percentage of 20%, they are holding the 40% of the national income. This is unequal distribution. Unequal distribution in the sense, some are sharing a very bit by bit amount of the national income and some are playing in billions. 10% of the national income is going to be contributed only in the top rich. That is 10 rupees is in the hand of 1, 2, 3 people. This concentration of income and property is seen in the hand of rich people in developing economy, and this gap, it is not mentioned, seems to be getting bigger and bigger. The rich are getting richer and richer and the poor are getting poorer and poorer. This is one of the another example of any developing country. Then comes unemployment. And the very next topic is poverty. We have to understand, though it is given in two different forms, two different subheadings, we try to understand in a common parameter. I have got a coin and this coin will be having two sides. I'm putting one side of the coin as unemployment, berozgari, kaam nahi hai. And the other side I am going to put up the poverty, garibi. So we can correlate that these two particular problems are coexisting simultaneously. एक साथ चल रहा है. Unemployment क्या होता है? Unemployment की definition अगर तुम याद रखने की कोशिश करते हो तो वो निकल कर आती है that any person who is adult, who is capable of doing work, second condition. Third, ready to work at the existent price of the job or work, what is not getting? Wapis, any person who is adult. We will not be considering the children or the aged people. So इसलिए यहाँ पर age group आ जाती है. Some book says it is 16 to 59 years. Some says it is 18 to 59 years. But a more common parameter which we accept is 16, 17 years, 16-17 साल का एक नौजवान, वहां से लेकर 59 years तक की एज के लोग, वो लोग जिनको हम एडल्ट में काउंट कर रहे हैं, बिकॉज लोअर वन 14, 15 is going to be a child and plus 60 we will be considering them as the old people. aged people, senior citizens. So any person who is within this bandwidth, इसी के बीच में मौजूद है एज वाइज. पहली कंडीशन बोल रही है, दूसरी कंडीशन दैट ही इज और शी इज हेल्दी इनफ टू कैरी आउट दैट एक्टिविटी. उसके अंदर कोई कमजोरियां नहीं है, वो नहीं कर सकता ऐसा नहीं है, वो कर सकता है. और तीसरी चीज, उसकी कोई प्री कंडीशन नहीं है कि मैं इतने ही सैलरी मिलेगी तो काम करूंगा, नहीं तो नहीं करूंगा. उसकी कोई प्री कंडीशन नहीं है. जैसे ही कोई भी ऑफर मिलता है, इज रेडी टू एक्सेप्ट दैट पर्टिकुलर ऑफर. In spite of all these conditions getting fulfilled, if a person is not getting the job or the work, we will be calling that particular person to be unemployed. So unemployment, you don't have any source of money coming, trickling in your pocket. And because you don't have the money coming in your pocket, the second point which we have got out here, that is poverty is going to be seen. तो दोनों चीजें कोरिलेट हो गई हमारी. तो अनएम्प्लॉयमेंट क्या हुआ? Unemployment may be counted as an important feature of developing countries. So all developing countries tend to have this problem existing. बेरोजगारी बहुत अच्छी खासी देखने को मिलती है. In these countries, ratio of unemployment is more than 3% of the total people or total labor force. जितने लोग काम कर सकते हैं, उनकी अगर हम वापस एक यूनिट बनाकर चले 100 पीपल, तो 100 में से 97 ऐसे हैं जिनको जॉब मिल सकती है, मिल गई है, लेकिन 3% मिनिमम ऐसे हैं जिनको काम नहीं मिल पा रहा. So in these countries, different types of unemployment is seen. We will be going into depth about this types of unemployment in the coming chapter, but just a idea in case we talk about different types कैसी होती हैं बेरोजगारी की. Seasonal unemployment. That means at one particular season the person has got a job, but as the season overs, the job is lost. You're talking about those laborers working in the field. Whenever there is harvesting season, whenever there is the sowing season, बीज बोना है, फसल काटनी है, you have to water the particular field, you are entitled to join as a workforce. But the moment that phase is over, you have the harvest being done of the yield taken, you are ड्रॉप ऑफ, निकाल दिए गए, क्योंकि हमारे पास कोई काम ही नहीं है. इनफैक्ट काम ही नहीं है इसलिए नहीं दे सकते. इस तरह की हम एक एम्प्लॉयमेंट देखते हैं, सीजनल अनएम्प्लॉयमेंट. देयर इज अ मेंशन अबाउट डिसगाइज्ड अनएम्प्लॉयमेंट. When we talk about disguised unemployment, this is again exclusively seen in agriculture sector, where more than required persons are hired to do the job, and in case one or few of them are removed, the output remains the same. What exactly do we mean about it? I have got a field of 1 hectare. उसके अंदर में for whatever purpose I have hired, let us say 20 people. So these 20 people, they're working in 1 hectare of land. But in case I hire, instead of 20, 18 people, then the work which is being completed is going to remain same with respect to 20 people who had joined. मतलब अगर 20 लोग काम कर रहे हैं तो भी उतना ही काम हो रहा है, 18 कर रहे हैं तो भी उतना ही आउटपुट हो रहा है. इट डजंट डिक्रीज. यहां पर वो 2 लोग जिनको निकाला गया या निकाला जा सकता है, which doesn't affect the output, we will be calling them as the disguised unemployed persons, and this property is disguised unemployment. तो यहां काम भले ही कर रहे हैं, but output is not there, and this sort of unemployment is called as disguised unemployment. Industrial unemployment, where new industries are set up, new machines are brought in, and the old technical work is removed and new technical personalities are introduced. So one who have been laid off, जिनको निकाल दिया गया, उनकी जो अनएम्प्लॉयमेंट होगी वो इंडस्ट्रियल की वजह से होगी, फ्रिक्शनल होगी हमारे सामने. लॉट मेनी वी विल बी डिस्कसिंग इट. So moreover, the period of unemployment is also very long. You don't have a surety in case the person has lost the job, he or she might be getting another 7 days, 15 days, 20 days, 1 month, 2 months, 3 months. कोई ऐसी गारंटी नहीं दिखाई देती कि इनको अब अगली जॉब कब मिलेगी, और इसीलिए ये जो अनएम्प्लॉयमेंट का ड्यूरेशन होता है in developing countries is always pretty long. You don't find them very often. Removed and accepted from one firm or one unit to another unit. And as I was talking about poverty, if I will not be any source of money coming in my pocket in the form of salaries or whatever the remuneration is, I will be left with one particular status which is called as poor. Because the amount of money which is required to carry out my day-to-day activities, basic in the sense of food, medicine, shelter, education, water, sanitation, I'm not able to fulfill it because I don't have the money. And in this scenario, what we see is that poverty is going to take place. So unemployment is one side of the coin, and the other side of the coin is poverty. So poverty is also a feature of developing economy. We see many poor people living in a developing economy or developing country. People who are not able to satisfy their primary needs. As I've just said, primary needs means essential needs, जो जरूरी है, जिनके बिना काम नहीं चल सकता, उन सब को हम बोलते हैं as basic or necessary needs. जैसे कि we talk about food, we cannot survive without food. We need to have something covering our body, that's the clothes, or the shelter, a proper shelter, which is going to protect you from the sun, rain, harsh climatic conditions. Education, basic requirement. You need to get educated so that you can survive in the competition. Then health, that is medicines, hospitals, doctors. You are not able to suffice any of these basic requirements. We call those persons who are in any of this particular category to be called as a poor. ये गरीब हो गया, जिसके पास में अपनी जरूरत, बेसिक जरूरत पूरे करने का पैसा नहीं होता, उसको हमने पुअर बोला. अब बेसिक्स कौन कौन से, फिर से वापस, you need to have the food, the clothing, the shelter, the medicines, the education. These are those basic primary needs of every human being. So in developing countries, such people contribute about 1/3 of the total population. फिर से फिगर 100 ले लो. If I've got 100 people, 1/3 means 33 people are in this category whom we call as the poor, or who are living in poverty, which means 33 people out of 100 people of the country, if I'm taking as a constant, which means that these 33 people are nowhere in a position to pay or compensate for the food, for the clothing, for the shelter, or education, health. If they are going to pick up one thing, 4 things fall. If they pick up, say, 2 things, 3 things fall. They don't have all those 4 or 5 things simultaneously being captured by them. The next within this is the dual economy. Before understanding what is dual economy, let us understand about the types of economies. I have got an economy which runs with a sole purpose that society should be benefited, and whatever resources you have got can be equally distributed. This is one type. We'll be going into detail a little bit later. And second one is where the price mechanism, sale purchase mechanism, is actually holding the reins, लगाम पकड़ रखी इकोनॉमी. Whatever is being sold with the profit attached, वो सारे काम होंगे, और अगर प्रॉफिट नहीं दिख रहा है वो काम बंद कर दिए जाएंगे. पहले केस के अंदर में हमारे पास प्राइस मैकेनिज्म के अंदर में प्रॉफिट और लॉस नहीं लिखा गया. इफ आई एम प्रोवाइडिंग food for all the people of the country, irrespective whether they are able to pay the money or not, I am providing it. तो यहां नुकसान कहीं से होगा, किन्हीं लोगों से फायदा भी हो जाएगा, लेकिन एवरेज हमने यही सोचकर चला कि सभी को दे दो, सभी के लिए व्यवस्था कर दो. Those who can afford, they can pay it. Those who cannot afford, okay, it is a grant from the country, grant from the government. Contrary to it, when I talk about the second part, wherein everything is accounted based upon the profit, मुझे फायदा होगा मैं वो काम करूंगा, फायदा नहीं होगा मैं काम बंद कर दूंगा. ये दो तरह की इकोनॉमीज पूरी दुनिया में देखने को मिलती हैं. द फर्स्ट वन इज अ बेबी born out of socialism. The second one is the baby which is born out of the new developed economies. One is capitalist economy where money really matters for every work you carry out, and the other one is the socialist economy where society comes first. And in case we mix both of them, we will be getting something which is called as the mixed economy. So, what exactly do we see? Certain activities in mixed economy is being carried out so that the general mass or public can afford it, and certain things are going to be carried out in such a parameter that only one who can afford is going to use it. इन दोनों के जब हम कॉम्बिनेशन देखेंगे तब हमारे को मिलता है एक मिक्स्ड इकोनॉमी. अंडरस्टैंड इट विद सर्टेन एग्जांपल. I have got one bank which is called as the State Bank of India, and I have got another bank which is called as, let us say, Axis Bank or ICICI Bank. What work is going to be carried out in both the banks, whichever example you want to have it, be it SBI or ICICI, it remains same. You are going to deposit the money, you are going to withdraw the money, issue the checks and get the transfer, everything remains the same. But the State Bank of India, which is a government of India undertaking, which is governed by the government of India, there the charges for carrying out your day-to-day activities in the bank is quite limited. Certain are free, certain are very limited as far as amount charged is concerned. But the same work is carried out in a different fashion in ICICI Bank, and where you have to actually pay for every activity which you instruct the banker to do. And this is how we are going to see the two different forms. One is favoring for the general masses, and another one favoring for all those who can actually afford it. And in case we find both of these banks in India working parallel, simultaneously, we can assume that India has got this mixed economy, also called as the dual economy. और इसी इकोनॉमी को बेस में आता है that the developing country is based on dual or mixed system. Certain is going to be compensatory for general masses, and certain is going to be chargeable. See, what we see, we can take into account India exclusively. One side I have got is backward farming. Now, when I say backward farming, what do I mean to say is, I have got small land holdings. The seeds used is the one which had been used since generations. बहुत पुराने समय से वही seed है. You know, you harvest wheat, you keep some wheat for the next season and consume. the rest of it or sell the rest of it. So these are old types of seeds. They don't have access to new fertilizers. They don't have irrigation facility. This is one side, one block. This is a backward farming. Machines they might be using within the farming is going to be old. You know, bullock with the plow, hal or bail chala rahe. Or even man is doing it himself. Orthodox social structure is there. When I say orthodox, old. Social society, structure, the formation. पुराने समय से चलता आ रहा है. This is how it is to be carried out. No new things are going to get introduced. And result is less production. When I say less production, we have to compare it with another form of farming wherein we see that big land holdings are there. They're using the new seeds, high yielding variety seeds, chemical fertilizers are there, irrigation facility is there, electricity is there, so output is more. Two things. This is how we can correlate that dual economy is existing. So new production is going to take place, new machines have been brought in, combined harvesters are there, threshers are there, tractors are there. We are taking into account only agriculture. So in agriculture we can understand this is the two vast differences which we see. And in case this sort of thing is existing within the same country, we can call it as a dual economy. Now going by the book, what exactly is said is, one side I have got a backward farming, old machinery, orthodox and social structure is present, less production are seen in villages, and on the other side there are cities having modern industries. We have got new production houses being propping up, new processes being introduced, modern implementation, sophisticated style of living, lifestyle is going to be there. So old people one side, one group one side in the villages, another group in the cities having the most modern amenities. This sort of structure we are going to see, the contrasting structure. There is unique thing in India, people are still using the bullock carts, and Indian Space Research Organization ISRO is sending its spacecraft all the way to Mars. Two opposite things. And it is happening within the same country. People are still traveling on bullock carts, and we are sending our own satellites into the space without any foreign collaboration or intervention. कोई मदद नहीं कर रहा है, कोई हेल्प नहीं कर रहा है, फिर भी हम स्पेस के ऊपर में अच्छा खासा होल्ड करके रखे हैं, जबकि ग्राउंड के ऊपर में there might be, or there are, not might be, there are villages which are being traveled either by foot, horse carts, bullock carts. So this is how the dual economy seems to be existing. The number 8, insufficient infrastructure facility. Infrastructure, what does it comprise of? When I talk about infrastructure, I'm talking about those things which include transportation, communication, electricity, health facility, banking, education. And insufficient means it is not so that they are totally absent. It is just so that the requirement is much higher than what is actually available on the ground. जितनी हमको जरूरत है उससे कहीं ज्यादा कमी देखने को मिलती है उनके वहां होने पर. So crucially vital, crucially and vital. Vital means without which we cannot survive. So it is at most important vital infrastructure facilities, which includes the education or the transportation or communication or electricity or health facility or banking. They are less lacking in developing countries, which stops, blocks, hinders. So many words are there for the development of the nation. That means anticipation, उम्मीदें बहुत ज़्यादा की होती हैं, लेकिन जिस समय हम ग्राउंड रियलिटी चेक करते हैं, we find it they are far much deficient. We find in all those developing economies of the countries, no proper roads have been developed, no better communication facilities have been developed. All part of the country. It's not about specifically. In case you're taking into account an example, it's a Bombay. Yes, Bombay has got it. But when we talk about certain places in Himachal Pradesh, they don't have it. We need to cover these all aspects in all the corners of the country. तो बहुत सारी जगहें ऐसी रह जाती हैं जहां पर रिक्वायरमेंट बहुत ज़्यादा है, लेकिन उसकी अवेलेबिलिटी बहुत कम दिखाई देती है. सो अगेन डिस्क्रिपेंसी इज देयर, अनइक्वल availability seems to be there. Moving on to the next one, we have got is the form of international trade. In your earlier point, what I had discussed was that these developing countries tend to be more agrarian based. And when we talk about agrarian based, whatever you have got in abundance while doing the international trade, you will be giving out. I have got an X country and there abundance of wheat is produced. इतना गेहूं लेकर क्या करेंगे? Sell it off. And purchase those commodities which is in scarcity within the country. So the compensation of requirements can be carried out. और यहीं से हमको कुछ फर्क देखने को मिलेगा. What exactly this X country is doing? It is selling out the fruits, the vegetables, the cereals, the pulses, and what they are purchasing in return are, let us say, heavy machines, steel, chemicals, petroleum. What you have to understand out here is the, again, disparity between the price. If I am giving wheat, say average price is 28 rupees a kg, 30 rupees a kg, and what I am purchasing is petrol. It is 80 rupees per liter. It is not even a kg, it is a liter. So the difference is there. I'll be sending out ships and ships loaded with wheat, but in case I purchase just one tanker of petroleum, this value of, say, quite a bit amount of ships which have been sent across loaded with the vegetables, pulses, rice, wheat, उन दोनों को कंपनसेट कर ही नहीं सकते. जो हम बेच रहे हैं वो बहुत सस्ता है और जो मंगा रहे हैं वो बहुत महंगा है. And this is what the form of international trade talks about. The structure of foreign trade of developing countries is quite different. These countries mainly export agro products or agro-based products. We are seeing that they are sending the wheat or the flour. They are sending vegetables or the jams. They are sending sugarcane or the sugar. So either way, it is all agriculture based. That is the farm products. because of less development, they are not actually sending the finished product, but instead they're sending the raw material. Raw material even in the form of the ores. We are not selling iron into the market, we are selling the iron ore. The ore is basically the concentration of that particular mineral in the soil. So even the soil is mixed. हम मिट्टी के साथ उसको दे रहे हैं. So obviously the price is going to be less. The farm and farm products, their prices will be less. These types of products which will be having less demand, first thing, and second, low rates, will be competing with those products being brought in the country which is in higher demand, plus the prices are also high. Now demands, yahan jaisi word aa gaya, that means the product which is sent across, that is the export, people are not really willing to buy it at the prevalent rates, or they want some price discounts, and not everyone interested. Products which that X country wants to import, so many things I have just talked about, say the petroleum or the machines or the iron and steels or these extracted minerals. In case you buy it, well and good. Otherwise, there are so many other countries who are willing to pay a little higher price and purchase the same thing. So what is there? We are going to see a problem wherein the amount which we are going to receive as a payment of export, the product which the country has sent to another countries, which is agro-based exclusively, or ores, mineral ores, which are all cheaper. So they are going to receive a less amount of money. And the amount of money which they need to shell out for all the purchases they have done, जो सामान मंगवाया था, that is going to be higher. तो हमेशा आने वाला जो पैसा है वो कम, और जो जाने वाली पैसे की वैल्यू है वो ज्यादा. ऐसा ही कॉम्बिनेशन मिलता है. So what we see is that imports which include the industrial productions or industrial product units or machineries, they are petroleums, they are all costly. As the cost of these product is more, so the expense on import rises. So export, the material which is going out of the country, that is cheaper, and the amount of the material coming inside the country, that is import, is always more valuable. Thus the condition of foreign trade, we call it this condition as adverse. Important point to remember, separate questions might be asked about it. What is adverse trade balance? And this is the answer you have to remember. When the valuation of import is less in comparison to the valuation of export. So import value is less, export value is more. We call it as positive balance of trade. And in case we reverse the reactions, what we see is that the value of export is less and the value of import is high. And we call it as a negative balance of trade, also called as adverse foreign trade. A quick revision to understand. What I am purchasing is costly. What I am sending is cheaper. So export value is less, import value is more, adverse. In case we change it, we are sending the products which are costly and purchasing those products which are cheaper. We will be calling it as a positive balance of trade. So there is an increase in foreign debt. जब भी हम इस डेवलपिंग कंट्रीज को देखते हैं, इनको पैसा चुकाना ज्यादा होता है, लेना कम होता है दूसरे देशों से. It is country versus country doing the trade. Take into example, I'm sending wheat, rice, cereals, vegetables, fruits, jam, sugar to Dubai. And what I'm purchasing from Dubai is petroleum. So petroleum is costly and these products are cheaper. My balance of trade, that is India's balance of trade with Dubai, will be adverse or negative, which means I have to pay the amount much more higher than the amount which I might be receiving from Dubai because of the disparity of the prices. So thus we see the above mentioned features in developing country. As Indian economy is developing, we are putting it into this particular bracket. All these features which we have talked about. What all features we have talked about? The less per capita income, the population growth, which is 2% or more. We see dependency on agriculture. We see that unequal distribution of money is there. We see unemployment to be persisting. We see the poverty to be present. We see the dual economy in existence. We see insufficient infrastructure facility to be present. And lastly, the form of international trade is in adverse condition. These are all the things which are correlating together to make that one particular country or economy to be called as the developing economy or the country. This particular topic itself is important. I have told you yesterday. Secondly, it can be broken apart into various segments. Say, write down any 4 or any 5 points of a developing country, or what is the terms and conditions for a developing country. So, in case we go it for the lesser numbers being asked, it will be a 3 marks question. In case we jump it up for all the 9 points to be written along with the heading and discussed to be done, it will be a 4 marks question. Now, moving on to something which is called as the economic and non-economic activities. And I really hope the particular topic which we have just finished, you have been able to understand. And in case any particular topic needs to be repeated again, do let me know. Or else we'll jump on to the next economic and non-economic activities. So should we proceed further for economic and non-economic activities? Okay. In the later part of the chapter, we will be exclusively talking about Indian economy. And before we enter into that particular discussion of Indian economy, let us go for something called as the 2 words which are mentioned, economic and non-economic activities. When we talk about economic activities, it simple means earning. हर वो काम जिसकी वजह से पैसा मिल सकता है, उस एक्टिविटी को हम इकोनॉमिक एक्टिविटी बोल देते हैं. अब पैसा अगर आएगा तो खर्च भी करोगे. So it is earning and spending, 2 activities which are again correlated. दोनों एक साथ जुड़े हुए. If I don't have the money, I cannot spend. And if I've got the money, I can spend. So spending and earning both are going to be correlated. And this activity which is carried out for our day-to-day requirements, exchanging of commodities, etc., or services, we will be calling them as the economic activities. जहां पैसे का लेन देन हो रहा है, आप पैसा ले रहे हो, पैसे को खर्च कर रहे हो, खर्च क्यों कर रहे हो भाई? You want to have some services. ATM is a service. Bank is a service provider. Your telephone is a service provider. So you're taking the service or you're purchasing the product. Let's have some bananas, some fruits, whatever. So this of economic activity, we have got certain examples to remember. We have got the farmers, an artist or artisans. We have got businessmen, a teacher. They are all in economic activities. Contrary to it, there are certain activities which we call as non-economic activities. Now, those activities which are not aimed for obtaining income or reciprocate, repeat, return indirectly, something is called as non-economic activities. हर वो काम जिसके बदले में, काम करने के बदले में, you are not expecting some monetary gains, be it the product or the service. आप सामान भी दे सकते हो, सर्विस भी दे सकते हो, लेकिन इस नियत से नहीं कर रहे कि इसके बदले में मुझे कुछ पैसा मिलेगा. ऐसी सारी एक्टिविटीज को हम नॉन इकोनॉमिक एक्टिविटीज में काउंट कर लेते हैं. सी, यू गॉट योर मॉम एंड डैड अलोंग विथ यू. Early in the morning you wake up and demand, I want to have Maggie. The Maggie is there. Maggie did cost something from the market, but your mom and dad, they are not charging you. है ना? उनकी ये खिलाना, उनका प्यार करना, this is something which is not going to be compensated in the form of money. So when we talk about nurturing of a child, बच्चे को पालना है, उसको बड़ा करना है, letting that particular child go to the school, go to the college, these are certain activities, one of those certain activities where monetary gain is not expected, or activities which are carried out by various NGOs, social service. You are going to old age home, provide some food to the old people who are living out there, just taking care. You wash their clothes, wash their utensils, sit along with them, have some chit chat out there and then come back. You will not be getting compensated monetarily. पैसा नहीं मिलने वाला. It is all inner feelings which is coming out there. So these all activities by social workers or NGOs or the parents to the child, these are non-economic activities. Now, once we have come to know what is economic activities and non-economic activities, in your next lecture, we will continue with the structure of Indian economy, taking into account of all these 8 features which we have learned, various economic activities carried out, and how the Indian economy is actually present. In case any doubts or queries, please do let me know. I can sort it out here itself, or else we will be meeting again on Monday, hopefully at the same time. So Darsh is really happy to say bye, and I am also saying bye. Stay at home, be safe, and we will be catching up again on Monday. Thank you so much.